We have a public hearing on ordinance number 649, which was introduced at our last meeting. It is a proposed agreement of sale for the transfer of the Avalon Theater from the town of Easton to the Avalon Foundation for $1 consideration and a one-time cash contribution for repairs and restoration. That one-time cash contribution is, in the proposed agreement, is $250,000. Additionally, as part of the proposed agreement, there would be no permit or inspection fees for 3 years following the date of settlement.
My name is William J. Howard. My address is 8862 Quailsar Road, Easton, Maryland. I've been here all my life. I know the Avalon Theater very well. And briefly, the history of the Avalon Theater: 1921, they opened the theater, and it had 700 seats. The population of Talbot County in 1920 was 36,000 people. They used the theater over and over and over until they wore it out. In 1936, the Shine Company came down, bought the theater, completely restored it. It was recorded $100,000 in 1936 was spent on the property. They brought in a man named Charles Howard from Upper New York State, a member of the Shine for many years, to run the theater. That was my father. And we grew up on Harrison Street, and every single Saturday I was in the Avalon Theater. Fast forward to 1981, I opened a restaurant called the Chambers Restaurant, about a block away. And we had a regular flow of diners that came in before the show and after the show. That was until May of 1985, when we had no one come. I walked up to the corner, the door was locked, the lights were out. That's when the Avalon Theater closed, and it closed for years. I was worried about the Avalon Theater, and I spoke to the mayor, I spoke to a lot of people, including Richard Edgar, who helped me form a plan to move my restaurant into the Avalon Theater to save the building. We were told that our cost, we would each have a share. And I should have questioned the amount that they offered. They told us it would be. It was $300,000 for me and $300,000 for the town of Easton. And we believed it. I finished my portion of the theater in 1988, and I was at $1.4 million. The town stopped at $800,000, and the theater went dark. It took 2 years until 1990 for the theater to open, and that was because William Donald Schaefer managed to get $500,000. Mr. Corey, you remember all of this very well. The theater opened with a bang. The Avalon has been a money pump to the servers, to the owners, to the merchants, to everybody in this town, and I'm very much in favor of it. And I hope that you move forward with your plan to give it to the Avalon Foundation. They deserve it, especially the $250,000 which is needed to keep that building structurally sound. That building is 94 years old now. How many 94-year-old people are in there here? So it needs it badly. So the $250,000 is very necessary, and I thank you very much for your time this evening.
I'm Mooneen Jackson Hamis, 120 Port Street, Easton, Maryland. I really support what the first speaker said, and so I won't go over that. However, I was on the council for 8 years, and we poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into that facility with the idea of keeping it a town historic, preserved institution. Regrettably, the attorney says that there is no public use necessary. However, I found during that time that there were a lot of public organizations and entities that wanted to use the Avalon, and one was the Frederick Douglass organization, which I headed, and we were allowed to have a convention there, which brought in quite a few people. But when I wanted to have another Frederick Douglass organization, even this council did not support that. And so I'm thinking that we are not encouraging and allowing public entities to use this building in a way that would speak to the community needs.
Council members, my name is Bob Merrick, and I'm an attorney with Cowdery Thompson. And what I'm here tonight is to suggest an alternative from my client. My client has authorized me to communicate an offer to the town of Easton to acquire the town's interest in Unit B within the Avalon condominium. My client would like to obtain an appraisal of Unit B as soon as the town indicates its willingness to entertain an offer, which would enable my client to make an offer based upon the fair market value of the space, and which would also enable my client to have a better understanding of the repairs that are necessary. Once the appraisal is obtained, my client and its interested business associates would be in a position to make a firm offer based upon the fair market value of Unit B and the associated common space.
Hi, my name is Andrew Adgate-Dewar. I live at 3 Thorogood Lane. Lots of family from the area, going back to Commodore Edward Lloyd, Robert Morris, and Colonel Tillman. I've been around here only for a limited amount of time, 6+ years plus 2 earlier. But some of the histrionics that are going on tonight are amusing at best. It's an unseemly display of power and provocation. What the Avalon Foundation has done is an amazing thing for this town, but it is a not-for-profit foundation, not a property owner. The building itself, as Ellen just said, is not what it's about. It's about the foundation and about what it contributes to this town. I would suggest highly that you investigate more thoroughly other options with the building in terms of ownership, besides deciding to turn it to a not-for-profit, many of which I have worked for before, as a real estate owner. I think it would be a big mistake to make a decision this evening, and I encourage you not to.
I'm Stephen Mangusarian. I live at 520 South Aurora Street in town. I am one of the owners of Banning's Tavern, and just to clarify our offer a little bit and maybe bring something out into the open, I want to make it clear that I don't think this is a referendum on the value of the Avalon Foundation. We all recognize it does great things, from what it does in the park, what it does in the theater. We, as a restaurant next door, we benefit from that. So, but their business is entertainment. I'm a property owner. I do renovations. Anybody who knows about, who has seen the renovation that I did at 28 South Washington knows that it's a very serious project. It was done perfectly. It was done well. We know how to do business, my partner and I. We want the Avalon Foundation to continue doing their entertainment business, but we don't think they're qualified to be a steward to a building. I think they should be applauding us for taking you off the hook and them off the hook. We've offered to do the renovations. We've offered to pay the town for the building so that you don't have to. By the way, I don't understand why the option of $406,000 is being vacated and being reduced to $1. But I think it's a win-win situation here. We're taking you off the hook. We're adding the Avalon building back to the tax register. We're continuing our business, which frankly brings in more people to the town and more money and more employment than some of the shows at the Avalon. And it's a win-win situation for all. The town makes money. The Avalon can do what they want to do. We're willing to lease it to them, and they don't have to renovate the building. We'll do it for them. I think that's a pretty good deal. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Al Bond, the Executive Director of the Avalon Foundation. I have only a few things to say. First of all, you've heard an awful lot about what the foundation does and the good works that happen in this community. The people who have spoken for and against the proposal tonight have said that. That is a very well-established belief. You've heard about the economic impact to the downtown, to property values all over our community. Yeah, the notion that the Avalon Foundation does not contribute real dollars to the tax base is one that is simply untrue. The value that we create in the community in other top property taxes far outweighs the amount of property tax that that particular property would generate. There are some immediate needs for the building. You've certainly heard a lot about the brick pointing. There's work in the fly. There's some ADA issues. I actually have some letters here from people who've written to us telling us that the bathrooms are not accessible. These are all things that have to be addressed in a really timely way. Yeah, when I first started talking to you guys about the needs of the building, the cracks in the wall on the side of the theater were about like this big around, the size of the space that was affected. I can tell you I went in there today and took a look, and it's about 30 feet of space that is now affected by the water intrusion. So the question is, if we can raise all this money, why do you need to put money into the deal? And it's a really, really simple answer. We have to stop the water intrusion as quickly as we can. If you vote tonight in favor of this, and we go to settlement as quickly as we possibly can, I can tell you that the first thing we are going to do is go out and stop the water from coming into the building. That is the responsible thing to do, and we really do need your help in order to do that. And as soon as we own the building, we are in a position where we can get private contributors to come in and deal with the rest of the problems. And according to the town's report, which I have here, there is actually $1.9 million worth of problems in that building, either in the theater itself or in the condominium area. You've heard other numbers thrown around. There's like the town's portion, because it's a condominium, you can divide it up in a lot of ways. But what I can tell you is that when the Avalon Theater owns that space, we will be responsible for the lion's share of that money, and we believe that we're prepared to take on that responsibility. We've been told that because we're a nonprofit, we can't manage a property somehow. There's certainly loads of examples of other nonprofits that do so, and I would argue, in fact, that the Avalon Foundation is an example of one that has done so. We do own the Stoltz Listening Room space. We renovated it. It's a world-class renovation. It has generated an additional 100 performances per year as a result of making that one capital investment. So I think that we're really good at managing projects. I'm looking forward to doing this much larger one because I think that the community deserves a world-class performance space. You have been given some, it's hard to call it proposal exactly because there's so many ifs involved in it. If there's appraisal done, and if that is an acceptable appraisal, then maybe they will buy it, and then maybe they will lease it back to us. There's an intention said to do that, but there's absolutely no reason for you to believe that that is what the outcome would be. Maybe we can't afford it if there is a proposed rent. What are the terms of it? This has not been discussed at all. What it is an attempt to infuse some chaos into what was a very orderly process up until that point. And I can only imagine the reasons why. So, we have a lot of pride, that is the town of Easton, the people of the town of Easton, certainly the people involved in the Avalon Foundation, in the thing that has been created here. The Avalon Foundation is now the largest arts institution on the eastern shore of Maryland. The amount of work that we do, 158,000 people were affected last year by, or times rather, by our work. Mayor Murphy had a vision a long time ago. That vision has come to pass. You have an opportunity to ensure that that continues into the future. That's really what this is about. This is what this choice is, and why you would choose to do anything other is something that I really personally can't understand.